You want to know what I think of all the Star Wars movies? Sit back and I'll tell you. So I figured for my first videos, just so you guys can get a feel for what type of Star Wars fan I am and what my thoughts are on all these movies, I'm going to rank all of the 11 films from my least favorite to my most favorite. And without further ado, let's just get right into it. Coming in at my number 11 spot, we have Episode 8, The Last Jedi. This one is hard to begin with because I know it goes without being said that this is the most divisive Star Wars film to date. This was the first time in my experience with these movies that I saw a major split between people who absolutely love this movie and people who absolutely hate this movie. I sit somewhere in the middle, maybe a little bit closer to the dislike side. I think there's so many things they did wrong and only a few things they did right. The character of Luke Skywalker, Leia floating through space, to name a few. The Canto Bite sequence. These are just things that I felt like when I was in the theater, they didn't feel like Star Wars. The whole movie opens with a Yo Mama joke. There's so many things about it that didn't feel like Star Wars to me. And, some people really view that as a good thing. For me, it just didn't resonate with me in the way that most of the other movies do. And that's why it comes in at my number 11 spot. Coming in at number 10, we have Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. This one, it really felt like they tried to do too much for the fans, but not in a really satisfying way. It really felt like to me that it was J.J. Abrams trying to put the glue between the pieces of a trilogy that really was never meant to fit together. It's been said before by many people before me that it's clear they had no plan for the sequel trilogy, and there was almost nothing they could do to fully save it. I didn't really like bringing Palpatine back in the way they did. There's just a lot of things about it where it just felt incohesive and just wrong. That being said, this movie still has plenty of awesome action, plenty of beautiful cinematography, and there's plenty of good things in it. But as a standalone Star Wars film, as well as in its isolated sequel trilogy, I can't really say that it's one of my favorites whatsoever, and that's why it goes in my number 10 slot. Up next at number 9, we have Solo: A Star Wars Story. This one I think gets a lot of unnecessary hate. It's still not one of my favorites. There's a lot of things that I think happened right. I think the casting of Donald Glover as Lando is absolutely spot on, and he could not kill it even harder. Some things I was a little less sure on is Woody Harrelson being in a Star Wars movie took a little bit of watching for me to get used to, and still when I see him, it just doesn't click with me. I kind of like when Star Wars has a little bit lesser known actors. Don't get me wrong, I still think Woody did a great job in the movie, but just sometimes when he pops up and I see him, it kind of pulls me out a little bit and I feel like I'm watching a movie more so than I'm watching a Star Wars movie, if that makes sense. The last thing I want to say about this one is, what were they thinking? No Star Wars fan was wondering how Han Solo got his last name. And the fact that some random Imperial dude just decided to give it to him because he was by himself is maybe the lamest thing to ever happen in a Star Wars film. At number 8, we have Episode 7, The Force Awakens. For all the sequel lovers who are going to come at me for putting these 3 movies in the bottom half of the top 10 or top 11, I understand, but for me, they just aren't doing it for me. I grew up on the original trilogies and the prequels, and it really felt like it was so completely separated from that. It didn't even feel like the same universe to me in a way. These movies look absolutely beautiful, but when it comes to the story and comes to the characters, I think they're heavily lacking like many others do. The first time I saw The Force Awakens, I was super excited. I was glad for Star Wars to be back. And upon further examination, after sitting with the movie for a while, I just came to see too many similarities between it and A New Hope and recycled ideas, things that just seemed like it really was more for a new generation of people who hadn't seen the original movies to get into Star Wars. I think that's a beautiful thing. I think Star Wars needs more fans. I think it needs more people to continue its legacy onwards, even though, there's so many people involved in the Star Wars community who have kept it alive for this long. I think it's a great thing for new fans. I think it's a great movie for people who are new to the franchise. However, it's just really not one for me. So that's why I put it at my number 8 slot. Here at number 7, we have Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This movie is freaking awesome. Like, I don't even know what else to say. Back in the day, young Jake Lloyd got so much hate for playing Anakin. George Lucas got so much hate for casting a 9-year-old Anakin Skywalker. But at the end of the day, it's a fun Star Wars movie, and it's given us one of the absolute best lightsaber duels in the history of the franchise with Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. Darth Maul is such a cool, menacing looking character, and that fight is top notch. It's so powerful, and on the Mandalorian Gallery, Dave Filoni talks a little bit about the importance of that fight and the duel of the fates over the soul of Anakin Skywalker. And when I heard that, even though I'd seen this movie and felt the epic weight of that moment so many times, it just hit it in such a new light for me that was just insanely cool and insanely powerful. Pod racing rocks. Jar Jar Binks. Look, I understand why so many people hate on him, especially when he's the first character to really deliver that type of slapstick comedy in a Star Wars movie. But I think it totally works. I think Jar Jar gets way more hate than he deserves, and I think The Phantom Menace is an incredible movie. For number 6, we have Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. A lot of my friends, as well as a lot of you, might think it's wild that I'm putting Attack of the Clones above The Phantom Menace. But there's so many cool things about this movie, seeing the creation of the clone army and the mystery of Obi-Wan going to Kamino to discover all this, getting to see Jango Fett and a young Boba, I thought as a kid was one of the coolest things after seeing the original trilogy, the connection of that being, oh, wow, I never knew Boba was a clone. That's really neat. His dad's a badass too. And I actually really love that. The Battle of Geonosis at the end, absolutely epic. Even if the love between Anakin and Padme it can be weird or hard to watch with the dialogue, the end of the scene of them getting married, with the only witnesses being R2 and 3PO, is super important and super heavy to the overarching story, because when you see that attachment that Anakin has now formed, it really cements the idea that he would do anything to keep that, and he would go to any length to ensure that his love endures, and just makes it even that more powerful in Revenge of the Sith when he does turn. So I think Attack of the Clones does so many cool things right, even if there's some problems with it, and that's why I love it so much, and it comes in at number 6. All right, so at number 5, we got Rogue One, a Star Wars story. This was the first standalone Star Wars film, and I think it was absolutely badass. Getting completely new characters and a completely new story really just felt super cool. To see Jyn Erso's perspective, as well as, what could be interpreted as the perspective of a lot of people in the Star Wars universe, of not siding with the Empire for the destruction they bring, but also not siding with the rebels for the damage that they cause to people's lives as well, fighting a war. It's cool and interesting to think about all of the innocent lives that are just caught in the crosshair of the civil war of the galaxy. And of course, you have to say something about the insanely badass scenes with Darth Vader. Getting to see him back in action for the first time since Revenge of the Sith is absolutely incredible, one of my favorite characters. And that hallway scene, one of my favorite moments, so definitely worthy of the number 5 spot. Coming in at number 4, we have the godfather of all of the prequels, Revenge of the Sith. This is a lot of people I know's favorite Star Wars movie of all time, and for good reason. From the very beginning of the battle over Coruscant with Obi-Wan and Anakin rescuing the Chancellor from Grievous and Dooku, it never stops being amazing. It never stops being cool, seeing all the characters we love and seeing the downfall. The final turn of Anakin Skywalker is the most important moment in Star Wars history. And seeing the rise of the Empire is the most important moment that sets up the movies that we love in the original trilogy. So many badass moments, so many cool things to see, so many tragic moments. Order 66 absolutely breaks my heart to this day. The fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin is probably my second favorite duel of all time, and absolutely love it. Can't say enough good things about it. watch it multiple times every year, and I probably will continue till the day I die. So definitely worthy of number 4. Awesome movie. Coming in at number 3, we've got Episode 4, A New Hope, the first release of all these movies of the original trilogy, and mine, as well as many other people's first introduction to a galaxy far, far away. It really sets up the mythos well. All of the characters are compelling and interesting, and this is the movie that myself and so many people saw first that really drew us into this world. It's been analyzed 100 times, so you don't need me to do it here. All you just got to know is that I love it, and that's why it comes in at number 3. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we've got Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. This is a lot of people's favorite Star Wars movie, and for good reason. I think it's probably the best Star Wars movie, but it's just not my personal favorite. There's still so many awesome moments, and getting to see the Empire, the bad guys, take the W in this one is epic. Seeing Darth Vader fight Luke and just completely overpower him, epic. And of course, the reveal of Darth Vader as Luke's father, one of the most iconic moments in cinematic history right there. You get Boba Fett, you get Bosk in the background, you get so many cool side characters and side things in this movie. You get Lando Calrissian for the first time, get to see Cloud City. There's so many cool things. I don't need to list them all off here. All you got to know is I love this, and that's why it's number 2. And last but not least, we have Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. This is what I feel is the most epic and perfect conclusion to the Skywalker saga. I think if it would have stayed being finished here, I could have lived the rest of my life in peace. I understand, the grievances people take with this movie and the Ewoks and things like that, but, I think they're adorable. I think it's fun. And really what puts it at the number 1 spot for me and why it's my favorite is the final duel between Luke, Darth Vader, and the Emperor, and Darth Vader's redemption. It's so cool, and it's cool to think back that at this point in the galaxy, Luke may be the only person who truly believes that there is good and there is Anakin Skywalker still left in Darth Vader. It's powerful and sweet to think back to Episode 3 at the end when Padme gives birth to Luke and Leia. One of the last things she says is that there's still good in him. Even though Luke never knew his mom, her belief in Anakin lived on through Luke, and seeing him pull his father back to the light side and seeing Anakin become a Force ghost at the end is one of the most satisfying moments in Star Wars for me personally, and that's why it's my favorite. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up. Those are my favorite Star Wars movies in order. If you've got a different order, leave yours in the comments. If you just want to tell me I'm wrong, go take it somewhere else. If you want to tell me I'm right and you agree and you got the same list as me, comment some crazy emoji so I can be like, whoa, we have the same list. And that's it for this video. Come back on Wednesday where we're going to be doing our top 10 favorite Jedi. Thanks so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.